Marcus Boston. In today's video, we are going to discuss two types of HIE injuries. And if you're watching, the question is whether your baby suffered either one of these types of injuries or a combination of both. Before getting too deep into everything, let's jump back and let's define that term HIE. HIE is hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, and if you've watched some of my past videos, you know in our context, this is a reduction in oxygenated blood getting to the baby, which can lead to a brain injury. For many states that are like Maryland, we have to use what we call experts. We have to use medical experts who will testify as to not only the standard of care, but whether there was a departure from the standard of care which caused the baby to suffer a brain injury. When doing these investigations, we have to take all the medical records into consideration. We have to look at everything. We have to speak with medical experts to be able to understand the issues from a medical legal standpoint and where we are with this particular set of facts. During these investigations, we have to use a host of experts when we think that we can move forward. The case in one of these experts is called a neuroradiologist. A neuroradiologist plays an extremely crucial role in being able to help families understand what happened with their baby's traumatic brain injury. A neuroradiologist has the ability to look at imaging studies and scans of the baby's brain and be able to understand the injury itself. At this point in time, I'm going to now get into those two types that I was talking about earlier. The best way to understand this is I'm going to use a garden hose. That's a really simple example for a complex issue, but it will help you to understand what I'm getting at. The first type of injury that we can see for an HIE injury is an acute type of injury. The best way to think of this is if you got a garden hose and you turn you turn it on, water is going to come out the other end. But if you bend the hose and you bend it so much to where it blocks the flow of water, you will have a cutoff of water on the other end. The water cannot get through because there is a blockage. That's the easiest way to understand an acute type of injury. That is what you can see when there's an acute injury present. These types of injuries, they generally happen quickly in time, and it generally takes about 10 to 25 minutes for an acute injury to manifest itself. On the other hand, the second type of injury we have for HIE is a partial prolonged injury. And neuroradiologists, they can see this pattern and understand this pattern. The best way to understand a partial prolonged injury is, so we're going to go back to that garden hose again, but instead of bending it all the way until the water is cut off, we're going to bend it enough in which the water is not completely blocked, but what it is the water cannot flow freely. And so because the water can't flow freely because of the bend, you have less water coming out on the end. So it's not a complete blockage, it's a cutoff in the sense that you can't have a full flow of water. You have the water blocked in such a way that only a little bit comes out on the other end, or not completely cut off, but it's a reduction in the amount of water that's going to be coming out. That is how you can look at a partial prolonged event. This event generally can, it usually can start for about 30 minutes and then it'll last for about an hour. So you can see between these two types of injuries, and in some cases, you can have a baby that may have a combination of both. This is why having experts and knowing which type of experts to use with these cases is important so we can help families understand these issues and where we're going in the future. Not only can these neuroradiologists, can they help with seeing the type of injury that's manifesting itself, and this is for another video, but they can also help based on what they see, understanding the timing of the injury itself. In other words, when did the injury manifest itself during the process? I know that I talked about a lot in this video, but my purpose is to help you understand these critical issues, because more than likely, if you are watching, your baby has suffered a traumatic brain injury like HIE. and you have questions as to what caused this. Was this something that the doctors or the nurses or the hospital, is this something that they caused? Or is this something that was genetic or developmental? If you have these types of questions going on and you would like to speak with me further about your baby situation, there is a telephone number down below. I invite you to go ahead and pick up the phone and call me. I speak with families all the time about these types of issues. This is what we do. HIE injuries, cerebral palsy injuries, subsequent MAS, meconium aspiration syndrome, shoulder dystocia, a host of other types of birth-related trauma issues. This is what we do. When you call my office, be sure that when you talk to the secretary, that you leave a date and a time. That is important, so we will know when to get you on the calendar and when we can call you back and discuss your baby story. It costs you absolutely nothing initially to talk with us about what's going on with your baby. So if you've got these questions, don't wait. Go ahead and pick up the phone and call. One more thing before I get out of here. I practice law here in the state of Maryland. And I know that from time to time, because this video is on the internet, it's on YouTube, other types of social media platforms, I can't control not only who's watching, but who's going to pick up the phone and call and have questions. Understand that if you are not in the state of Maryland, this is something that we think that we can assist with, that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we can help work with you on, but I just want to make sure that you understand that co-counsel or that local counsel aspect of things if you are not here in the state of Maryland. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We'll talk with you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.